Video number 6. She won't let you know this yet she feels it. Ladies have an unflinching radar for shortcoming well before you even acknowledge you're uncovering it. You believe you're being pleasant, she sees vulnerability. You believe you're showing restraint, she detects faltering, and when she names you as feeble all that changes. Regard blurs, fascination passes on, and most terrible of all, you don't have the foggiest idea why. Yet here's reality: shortcoming isn't just about how you act, it's about the energy you convey. In this video I'll separate the quiet signals that obliterate your presence, cause her to lose revenue, and drive you into the companion zone before you even have a potential for success. Most men never sort this out, yet after today you will. We should begin. Number 1. Looking for approval at any point. Met a person who continually needs consolation, continuously asking, did I in all actuality do approve? Do you actually like me? Are you frantic at me? It's depleting to watch. And for ladies it's a moment warning. They probably won't say it by and large, yet where it counts they feel it. This person needs internal strength. Ladies don't regard men who need consent to feel better about themselves. When you're continuously changing in accordance with please others as opposed to remaining by your standards, it shouts uncertainty. It resembles treading lightly, expecting endorsement rather than of being firm in what your identity is. And the fierce truth: when a lady detects that frailty, fascination begins to blur. Why? Since somewhere inside she needs a man who remains steadfast, not one who wavers at each snapshot of uncertainty. Envision a man who doesn't pursue approval. He knows who he will be. He needn't bother with a lady to let him know he's sufficient. He's now concluded that for himself. That is the sort of man who deserves admiration without requesting it. Emotionlessness instructs that certainty comes from inside, not from outer approval. The Stoics put stock in dominating feelings, standing firm in standards, and not letting the assessments of others shake their healthy self-appreciation. Marcus Aurelius didn't get up each day contemplating whether individuals actually preferred him. He zeroed in on being his best self, paying little heed to what others thought. You must be a similar. Quit searching for consistent consolation. Trust your own judgment. Settle on choices in view of your qualities, not on how she could respond. Assuming she sees that you're unshaken by her temperaments, that you don't disintegrate, and she pulls away, that you can tolerate firming without requiring her consistent endorsement. She'll regard you more, and regard fills fascination. Shortcoming isn't tied in with being tiny or mild-mannered, it's tied in with looking for authorization to exist as you are. Strength isn't about predominance or egotism, it's tied in with knowing your value and not reappropriating it to another person. When you figure out how to approve yourself, when you quit looking for endorsement like a lost kid, you become the sort of man a lady wants as well as regards. Number 2. Profound precariousness. On the off chance that you're speedy to snap, contend, or get close to home over little things, ladies see you as a man without control. They may not necessarily say it out and out, yet they feel it, and when they sense your absence of profound security, their regard for you begins to blur. When feelings rule your activities, whether it's annoyance, envy, or urgency, you uncover an absence of inward strength. You become eccentric, driven by transitory sentiments rather than a consistent brain. And on the off chance that you couldn't in fact deal with your own feelings, how might you handle life's greater difficulties? How might she trust you to stay consistent when circumstances become difficult? Emotionlessness shows close to home. Discipline, as Epicus shrewdly said, any individual equipped for enraging you turns into your lord. Let that hit home. In the event that another person have some control over your feelings, they control you. A resilient man doesn't allow outside things to direct his inner state. He remains grounded regardless of what occurs around him. A lady will test you some of the time intentionally, in some cases unwittingly. She'll provoke you, challenge your understanding, even incite a response, not on the grounds that she appreciates driving you mad, but since she needs to check whether you're genuinely in charge of yourself or putting on a front. Assuming that you disintegrate under tension, assuming that you let disappointment or instability assume control over. She'll detect shortcoming, yet assuming you resist the urge to panic. Gathered and undeterred, she'll see genuine strength. The powerless man takes the trap. He erupts, contends, or becomes protective. The tough man, he stays created. He comprehends that his power lies by the way he answers and not in how boisterously he responds. As opposed to detonating in dissatisfaction when she tests you, stop, inhale, think, then answer with quiet power. That is the way obvious poise is shown. And when a lady sees that you don't disintegrate under tension, that you don't allow feelings to control you, her regard and fascination for you will become stronger. Isn't tied in with showing what you can do at the time, it's tied in with dominating yourself in each second. Currently pause for a minute to reflect. How would you typically answer when feelings discharge up? Do you let disappointment direct your activities, or do You stay consistent made and in control. The manner in which you handle pressure expresses all that about your inward strength. Share your considerations in the remarks beneath, or then again in the event that this message impacts you. Leave strength is in charge. We should perceive the number of you are focused on dominating yourselves. Number 3. No reason, no course. Ladies don't regard a man without a mission. Fascination isn't just about looks, it's about how you travel through life. Assuming you have no heading, no aspiration, no reason, she won't see you as someone who would certainly merit putting resources into. And it's not, ladies, individuals in that frame of mind toward the people who ooze reason and conviction. Consider it. Have you at any point seen a man who conducts himself with outright certainty, not on the grounds that he's faking it, but since he knows precisely exact thing he represents? He doesn't require endorsement. He doesn't pursue, he basically pushes ahead, and in doing so he normally draws individuals toward him. Presently contrast that with the person who continually looks for approval, who changes his perspectives to fit in, who trusts that the world will hand him amazing open doors. Which one do you think deserves more admiration? Emotionlessness instructs us that a man's solidarity isn't found by the way he responds to others, yet by the way he guides himself. Marcus Aurelius, perhaps of the best unemotional logician, governed a realm not by being frantic for endorsement, yet by residing as per standards he knew merited observing. He didn't falter, he didn't ask for regard, he procured it by being stead quick in his obligation. That is the sort of energy that makes a man alluring to ladies as well as throughout everyday life. So what's your main goal? It's adequately not to just say I need to find lasting success. What are you constructing? What are you devoted to? Ladies regard men who have a heading, men who awaken with a reason past looking for somebody's consideration on the off chance that your main objective is to inspire her to like you. She won't find your central goal. Focus on an option that could be more noteworthy than D. Whether it's your profession, self-improvement, or self-control, strength comes from knowing where you're going. In the event that you don't have that yet, begin dealing with it today in light of the fact that the second you quit trusting that life will occur and begin getting things going, all that changes. Number 4. Continuously avoiding any and all risks. You could believe you're being pleasant, that by expressing yes to all that and staying away from struggle you're making things smoother. Forestalling superfluous show. Yet here's the hard truth, ladies, consider this to be dread, not generosity. In the event that you're continually concurring just to keep away from contentions, allowing individuals to mistreat you, or wondering whether or not to say no when it's essential, you're not being honorable, you're showing shortcoming. And ladies, get on this quicker than you suspect. Aloofness instructs us that genuine boldness isn't tied in with being forceful or ruling others, it's tied in with standing firm in what makes a difference regardless of how awkward it very well may be. Keeping away from struggle is certainly not an indication of close to home development. It's not unexpected an indication of dread, a feeling of dread toward losing endorsement, an apprehension about being loathed, an apprehension about confronting the uneasiness that accompanies conflict. Yet here's the oddity, by attempting to keep away from struggle you really lose regard, and when a lady quits regarding you fascination blurs rapidly. Consider it. Have you at any point seen a lady baffled with a man who won't take a position? Perhaps she asks what is it that you believe that should do, and he answers with anything you desire. She could moan, feign exacerbation, and in the end start to lead the pack herself. At first she could endure it, yet over the long run that absence of conclusiveness becomes ugly. She needs a man who can pursue choices, who can tolerate firming without being foolish, and who won't hesitate to say no when required. Ladies test men not on the grounds that they appreciate struggle, but since they naturally want to find out whether you can deal with life's tensions, assuming you surrender to the littlest measure of strain, assuming you apologize when you've done nothing out of sorts, assuming you let others direct your qualities, assuming you try not to support yourself. She sees that, and the second she understands you need spine, her fascination for you begins to break up. Hold fast, not with outrage, not with haughtiness, but rather with unfaltering quiet, defined limits. Shout out when something doesn't agree with you, differ when vital, and don't fear her response. A man who esteems his standards more than the brief solace of keeping away from struggle gains appreciation from ladies, as well as from everybody around him. Strength isn't tied in with overwhelming others, it's tied in with having the inward solidness to hold your ground when it counts. In the event that you don't regard yourself enough to do that, don't expect any other individual to one or the other. Think about this briefly. Have you at any point wound up concurring just to maintain order, just to acknowledge later that it cost you regard? Staying away from struggle could feel like the simpler way, yet over the long haul it debilitates your presence, your certainty, and Surprisingly, your connections ladies don't need a man who curves to each impulse, they need a man who stands firm with calm strength. Let me in on your viewpoints in the remarks. Have you at any point felt the outcomes of playing it excessively protected, or on the other hand assuming this message hit home? Regard is acquired not given in the remarks. How about we move the discussion along? Number 5 over M's.